Hey, it's me, Nurse Tiffany, and I'm so excited to be here and give you this tea. How am I surviving? Advanced Patho. Let's not forget, coupled with population health and epidemiology. I wanted to come on, let you know how I felt the very first week. If you want all the details, stay tuned. All right, so let's get right into it. Number one. So I told you about preview week. I had everything set up. I had my folder set up. I had a whole plan set up. And I remember telling you why I was a little shocked that they didn't have any lectures available, so on and so forth, from what I was able to see. Preview week for Advanced Patho tricked the heck out of me. For number one, a lot of content was locked and I didn't have access to actually see what was going on. I saw that we had assignments and the assignments wasn't worth a lot of points. So I didn't take that as that these were going to be heavy assignments, so to speak. I also saw something else that was locked, but I really didn't know what it was. And I felt like maybe it was the midterm and the final, and I wasn't going to have access to it. Our courses start on Monday. So my course started on Monday, I want to say May 6th. And so that Sunday before, I received an email notification telling me that I could sign up for NR507 Advanced Pathophysiology peer tutoring. So I hurried up, went on, tried to sign up for it. However, it was for the course prior to mine. So I was in the May session. So this was like for March session, request. So come that following next day, I tried again. The peer tutoring really wasn't available probably until about that Tuesday or the Wednesday in the week. The peer tutoring is an actual student that's and she's currently in psych, psych, mental health nurse practitioner track, but she's already taken advanced pathophysiology and must have, passed it because now she's coming back and she's kind of like reaching back and helping other students. You could tell she has like a strict guideline that she has to follow. She's really not there to um, give you like real details. You could tell that everything that she's doing is probably based off of Chamberlain's recommendations, just to have a resource there available where you could ask questions. She does have office hours available. You are able to live message her, and once a week she goes on live and she posts like a PowerPoint over that week's um, learning lesson, and she'll kind of go through, what we're supposed to go over for that week or whatever. So, y'all, I get onto this live session, and I was actually appalled by how many students are actually attending Chamberlain University and that's in the nurse practitioner track, because my class sizes have been fairly small. And when I say fairly small, probably about 20 something students in each class. And so I'm thinking that it's only like 2, maybe 3 classes going on at a time. No, baby. When I got onto this peer tutoring site, it had to be about a good 40 to 50 students from all over. However, from all different tracks as well. So I'm in the F&P track, but they also do adult gerontology, acute care, F&P, and psych. So you have all students from all the tracks in this peer tutoring for NR507, Advanced Pathophysiology. So in this, it was almost like a Zoom call. It lasts an hour. And in there, you know how you have the chat bar on the side? I was dying laughing. Everybody felt the same. Everybody was stressed out. Everybody was kind of upset because we kind of felt like it should have been way better organized. This is not Chamberlain's first rodeo. And so to have to wait so many days just to actually get into this session, to see March still come up in the session and we're in May session, it's like, come on, I felt like they would have been on the ball a little bit better with how they're turning over these classes. Nevertheless, while we were in here, a student asked a question and was like, can we work on our assignments together? That chat started blowing up. People started creating study groups on the side, started saying how they was going to work together. The peer tutor got so overwhelmed and kept saying things like, I can't say that. That's against academic integrity and things like that. These classes are not designed for us to work together, so on and so forth. So, people were just really trying to come up with a way to be able to get through all of this content, because it is a lot of content to go through. And then somebody also asked the question of, is somebody going to go over the midterm study guide? No, somebody asked a question and said, is there going to be a study guide available for the midterm and the final? So the peer tutor was like, no, there is no study guide for the midterm or the final exam. However, a student chimed in and said, my instructor gave us a study guide for the midterm. Again, the chat blows up. Can you please share the study guide? And now by this time, I'm starting to feel a little jaded. Like, how is one class getting a study guide and my class isn't getting it? Because my instructor either had shared this study guide. So apparently this must have went back to the professors or to the dean of the program, and they ended up deciding. So like in week 2, we end up getting access to the midterm and final exam study guide. Now I'm telling you guys, we was not supposed to get that. So moving forward, I'm in the May 2025 session. I don't know if they're going to give you all access to that study guide. The only reason we got it is because a student said that an instructor gave it. I don't know what happened with that instructor, but because one class did end up getting it, they end up giving it to us. So I was happy to see that they are being fair. Another thing I had told you all during preview week is that I was going to pre-read the assignments. I set myself up all nice. I pulled up my online book and we were going over. So for week number 1 was hematology. I couldn't get through the first paragraph, y'all. Oh, I'm sorry. We wasn't doing hematology. We were doing immunology. So week 1 was immunology. I could not get through the first paragraph and understand what the heck I was reading. I immediately, I felt like, that emoji where your head explodes? I immediately felt like that. It is a lot to cover. So for advanced pathophysiology, they really break things down to the cellular level. And immunology really does use a lot of cells. So we were going over things like hypersensitivities and allergies and stuff like that. And I've been a nurse for almost 10 years and I'm appalled at some of the things that I did not know. So it is a lot of content to go over in regards to the reading. So for me, I kindly set that to the side because I didn't want to, get myself overwhelmed. So I said, let me move on and start working on the assignment. So the assignment, now I'm in week 1 and the assignment has opened up. So now it's no longer locked, and I find that it's called an EDAPT assignment. That's E as in elephant, D as in David, A as in apple, P as in Paul, T as in Tom. And basically, it's like going through a course where you're reading on something and then you have a couple of questions to answer to test your knowledge. So I said, okay, that was way better to understand, way better to read, much, much easier to read, so on and so forth. So I was a little excited. So I'm taking my time reading, and then a couple of questions will come up. I answer the questions. If you get it wrong, they give you a second time to try the question. So because I never read the book, and this was my first time going over things, and a lot of the questions I'm Googling because all of the content wasn't in what I had just read. So I'm Googling some of the questions and, trying to get the answers the best way that I can. And come to find out, when I got out of that first EDAPT assignment, it said, you did not master this assignment. Now you have to go into remediation. I was like, okay. So remediation is basically giving you the same thing in a totally different way. Go through it a second time, guys. Pass the remediation. Do you know they made me take the whole course all over again in order to get those points? And did you think I was done there? Absolutely not. Immunology had about 7 of these sections that you had to go through. And each section takes every bit of, it'll say 60 minutes, but it was taking me 2 hours a piece. And this was only worth 16 points. It took me like 7 hours to get through those assignments, worth, all of them combined, all 7 assignments, only worth 16 points. I didn't even get the whole 16 points because that first one, when I realized that you had to go through a remediation and then do it all over again, I did not have the time to sit here and just continuously go through this stuff over and over again. So I really took my time to make sure I was answering the questions correctly before I would press submit for those answers. So for that first assignment that was worth 16 points, I ended up getting 13 points, 13.21 points to be exact. My score for that automatically uploaded. It was an 82 point, maybe 5%. When I went into my grade book on Chamberlain, it just said F, like failed. Because for this particular course, they fall up under a different grading rubric. And in order to pass this course, you have to have 84% and above. Y'all couldn't just show me a B though for 82.5. I'm saying it messed with my mental seeing a F there for like a whole week until they graded my discussion post. And even with getting my discussion post up there and stuff like that, I think that did bring me up to where I needed to be in a passing state. But just to see that and have that additional pressure on me to know that if I'm not getting a 84% in this class and I'm failing, and it's so much content, y'all, it just put the pressure on me. I wanted to go over real quick how I did decide to study and show you a few things, just to go back, piggyback on preview week. So you remember I told you I had purchased this book. So week number 9, So like I said, we went over alterations in immunity and inflammation. I was able to get through with all those assignments and everything like that. I was only able to get through 3 pages of the workbook. I wasn't even able to really test my full knowledge in regards to the workbook because it was just too much. Because week 2 comes and it's almost like you got to move on to the next. So I barely finished everything I had to do in week 1 before I was able to even use any additional resources. So that's week 1 for me, guys. I'm still a little off kilter and I'm really working to focus on getting a handle on things. In week 2, stay tuned. I'll tell you how everything is going from there. If you like this video and want more content like this so you can kind of know and understand what's going on in my advanced pathophysiology journey, please like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, bye.